What's going on, y'all? Got the 4runner in the shop. We got the top off. The weather's been getting warmer, so it's been real nice cruising it around. I've been having a click no start issue that's been persisting off and on, so it's been kind of frustrating trying to take it out for work and whatnot, driving it around. So I'm gonna show y'all how we're gonna take care of that. It's pretty intermittent, so we'll see if we can catch it on camera. But basically, yep. So I got nothing. Try again. Oh, there it goes. See, but then it stops. Try again. Nope. There we go. Got it. So as you heard, it was running really rough. So that kind of shows you guys the issue that I've been having. Not only does it start running really rough, because when you're clicking the key a whole bunch of times like that, your start injector's just dumping 1,000,000 gallons of fuel into it. So then once you finally get it cranking, then it's all flooded out and it runs like crap. Fouls out my spark plug, so I've already had to put a new set of spark plugs in it, get it running right again, but I'm still having the start issue. So I'm gonna show you guys how we're gonna take care of that. So this was one of my issues. A couple of my battery cables and grounds were very corroded. So I fixed all the grounds, got all my connections all good, cleaned up the battery terminals, and it seemed like that helped for a month or so, and then my issue kind of came back. So I rechecked everything, was still having an issue. But generally that's the first thing you want to check, is make sure these are nice and snug, make sure you got a ground going up here to the inner fender, make sure that you grounded good down there at the bottom of the engine, and then you also have a ground back here on the firewall. Now generally when you're having this issue, if it's a ground related issue, these will start smoking, or they'll get very hot, and that means that you're just not getting current through it. But I'm not having any of that issue, so I know that my grounds and everything are pretty solid. Another very common issue is this relay over here can start going out. So that's a pretty common issue on these also. This is your starter relay, so you want to get that checked out as well. So I'm getting power all the way to the starter 100% of the time. So I've had my wife come in and click the key for me, and I can feel the starter clicking. So I'm thinking that the issue is in the starter. So I'm gonna show you guys how we can rebuild that. So this is the Dorman rebuild kit. You can see the part number on there. This is just a universal kit. It's also very common to burn up the contacts within the starter. And it's a very simple, really cheap fix. That was only like 30 bucks, but that's because it was a universal kit. There's kits out there for like $10 that just give you the parts that you need to fix what you're gonna need. So I'll drop some links in there to show you guys what you're gonna need to fix this issue. So the first thing that we're gonna need to do is get this starter out of here, get it all disconnected. Normally you'd have a flap right here that goes behind it, but mine's already been deleted, so I have pretty quick access to the starter. We'll get this out of here and get it taken apart. All right, so the first thing you're gonna do, probably disconnect the battery, and then this is the cable that goes up to the battery. Get that disconnected. Then you have this little plug right here. You just push on the back of it, give it a little squeeze, pops right out. It's gonna be really hard to see, but right up there on the back side, there's gonna be a bolt. You only have one more bolt right up here. And you can see we're getting that second bolt. That's the only two bolts holding it. All right, I'm just trying to wiggle it on out. And as you can see, this is a genuine Toyota starter. You do not want to get rid of this for no cheap, crappy one from the parts store. You want to keep this thing as long as you can. So I'm gonna start by just kind of knocking the dust off of it, getting the outside cleaned up a little bit. There we go. Scrub, scrub, scrub. All right, now we got it all spiffed up, good enough. We're gonna start by removing this back cover here. You just have 3 screws. So these 3 guys right here are 8mm. Just get a little wrench, bust them all free. All right, we're gonna get this cap off of here. Very gentle. Pull the plunger out very carefully. You also got the rubber gasket on the outside. So as you can see in here, this one's been torqued pretty crooked and there's not a lot of material left on these contacts on the inside. Also got a good bit of dust building up in there as well. All right, so first thing, you're gonna take this 12mm off to get this ground strap off. Once you get the ground strap off, you got your 14mm underneath that's snugging these contacts down. Same thing with the start side, the hot side. You got 14mm to get that loose as well. Go ahead and get these pulled off of here. Keep it all together so you know how to put it back together. Come on over here to the ground side. All right, so I want to show you a couple things. First of all, this is where the contact is made on the plunger. This disc has to ride perfectly smooth up and down. As you can see, we got a little bit of corrosion and stuff going on. That's gonna kind of cause some issues when it comes to making contact. Then if you look over here, this is our new guy. You can see how thick it is. This is our old one. You can see where it's been riding on it, and you can see, really hard to see, but see how sharp that is now? Very, very thin. Look at this one, see how thick that is? You look over here on the other side, same thing's going on, not as bad, still some decent thickness, but compared to the new one. So where that's gonna cause issues is as this thing comes down to make contact with these, if this side's worn down and this side's pretty thick, like what I have, then this side's gonna make contact and this side's not. And that's where you get your click no start. You need these things coming down perfectly symmetrical so they're making contact at the same time. If you have it at an angle, if it's worn out, if one side's making contact and this side's not, then you're not gonna get a good clean spark to make the starter do the starter things. So this is how this ground side goes. First is gonna be the bolt, then this little contact. Be very careful not to break that. And then the actual contact itself. Make sure it's sitting nice and flush. Then you do one of these little black square things that'll pop through the other side. So that's how those 3 pieces go together. All right, and then on the outside, you want your little black O-ring so water doesn't get in. And then you'll do your plastic insulator with the little contact sitting on it. And you put your 14mm nut on, snug it up just a bit. Make sure that this guy is sitting perfectly flush on there. Like we said, we don't want that to be crooked, making bad contact. So now we get the bigger one for the hot side. Don't forget your little plastic insert. Then we're gonna do a rubber O-ring on the outside, and same thing like we just did. All right, so I used some like 1000 or 2000 grit sandpaper just to touch it up a little bit. I don't want to go crazy on it. So then we'll slip the plunger right on back through the spring. Get it all in there nice and good. So then we'll put our cap back on, our 3 bolts, snug them up, and we'll be ready to put it back together. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but that's about just as good there's any rebuild I've gotten from O'Reilly's. All right, so you slip it back in there, get your 2 bolts in, do your little connector, and then your power wire. Let's give her a test. All right, so like we saw before, it was taking 3 or 4 or 5, 10 times to start it. Let's see what happens. Wow, that fired right up. Like that. All right, y'all, well, I got her running. I'm gonna let it kind of warm up for a few minutes since I was cranking on it a bunch when I was showing you guys it not starting. Let it kind of clear itself out, warm up. We'll shut it off, try a couple more times, make sure it starts right up. I think we got it taken care of though. All right, I've been letting it run for a few minutes. Oh yeah, that's the best it's ever started. Oh yeah, I've never been able to start it 3 times in a row like that. It's always been very intermittent. Here it is with the top off. It's getting pretty dirty. I've been daily driving it a bunch. You can see I got the car seats in the back. I need to do a homemade bikini top for it. There'll be a video hopefully coming out with that. Thing's pretty sweet. So good to have that fixed. I'm sure y'all know what it feels like to be sitting in the parking lot at work or at the grocery store or something. You're just trying to grab something and go real quick, and you're sitting there clicking and clicking. You either have to tap on the starter or do whatever. 30 bucks, finding parts on eBay or something for 10, 12 bucks. Get this thing taken apart, fix it yourself. Don't spend 100, 150 bucks on a crappy starter that's just gonna go out on you again. Fix your stuff, keep your stuff running, keep living for Jesus.